Have you ever wondered what faith looks like? Not the grand cathedrals or the sacred texts written centuries after the fact. I'm talking about the very first whispers of a new belief. A single object held in someone's hands that carries the seed of a religion that would one day span the globe. We're on a journey to find those seeds. Today, that journey takes us to the bottom of the sea off the coast of Egypt. Here, a simple ceramic bowl was found, no bigger than your hand. It is old, very old. But it's not its age alone that makes it so remarkable. It's a single inscription, scratched into its surface, that has ignited a firestorm of debate. It may be the earliest physical object ever found that bears the name of Christ. This small, unassuming artifact has been called the Jesus Cup, a bold name for a humble piece of pottery. But the claim it makes is even bolder. Some experts believe this bowl is not just a relic from the ancient world, but tangible proof that the stories of Jesus of Nazareth had spread far and wide much earlier than anyone thought. They see it as evidence that his name carried power, a power to heal, to protect, to inspire. It speaks of a time when his followers were just a small, scattered community sharing their faith in whispers and symbols. This cup, they argue, is one of those symbols, a physical link to the very dawn of Christianity. But like all great mysteries of faith, this one is not so simple. Other scholars look at the same inscription and see something entirely different. Alexandria, Egypt, a city founded by Alexander the Great. It was once the shining jewel of the ancient world. It was home to the Great Library, the mighty Pharos Lighthouse, one of the Seven Wonders. But parts of this legendary city were lost to time, swallowed by earthquakes and tidal waves, sinking beneath the Mediterranean. For centuries, its secrets lay hidden, until underwater archaeologists led by Frank Gaudio looked for them. They were searching for Cleopatra's lost royal quarters. They uncovered sphinxes, giant statues, architectural remains of a lost world. Then, amidst the ruins, they found it. A small, simple ceramic bowl, easily overlooked among colossal statues and temples. It was carefully cleaned and conserved. As layers of time were peeled back, a faint inscription appeared on the rim. Scratched into the clay were letters. Greek, the common tongue of the Eastern Mediterranean in that era. The inscription read, Dia Cresto Ogoistais. Translating ancient languages is part art, part science. Words can have multiple meanings, and context is everything. It seemed to say, through Christ the chanter, by Christ the magician. The key is the word Cresto. It's a known variant spelling of Christo, meaning of Christ or by Christ. This spelling difference is not unusual for the time. The name Christ comes from the Greek word Christos, meaning the anointed one. It was the title given to Jesus by his earliest followers. So, to find this name on an object from this exact time period was an extraordinary possibility. The second part of the inscription, Ogoistais, added another layer to the mystery. It can be translated as the chanter or the magician. Agos could communicate with the divine, someone with special knowledge of rituals, someone skilled in spells, someone known for healing. The inscription seemed to be invoking the power of someone named Christ, who was known as a magician or a chanter. Putting it all together, the phrase paints a vivid picture. It reads like an invocation, a dedication used in ritual. The person who etched these words was calling upon a power they believed to be real and effective, something deeply personal and practical, a plea, a hope, a declaration of faith scratched into a piece of clay. The ancient world was, honestly, just saturated with what we would call magic. It wasn't separate from religion or medicine. It was all part of the same cosmic tapestry. People believed the world was filled with unseen forces, spirits and deities, that could be influenced through the right words, rituals, and objects. Amulets were worn for protection. Curses were written on lead tablets. Special potions were mixed to cure illnesses or win someone's love. A bowl used for such purposes would have been a common household item. The inscription on the Alexandria bowl fits comfortably within this magical tradition. The owner would have believed that by invoking the name of Christos, they were tapping into a source of supernatural power. The bowl itself would become charged, its contents imbued with the energy of the name written upon it. Or maybe a family member used it to serve a special broth to a sick loved one, believing the invocation would make the medicine more potent. Eating or drinking from the bowl would have been a way of internalizing that power. This practice, known as sympathetic magic, linked the object, the words, and the person in a chain of spiritual cause and effect. This interpretation doesn't necessarily contradict a Christian one. It shows how early beliefs about Jesus could have been absorbed into existing cultural practices. First-century Alexandria was a global crossroads. Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Jews. Ideas mingled and created something new. In its streets you could find temples to Isis, Serapis, synagogues for a large Jewish community, shrines to the Greek and Roman pantheons. Religious mixing, syncretism, bred new ideas. Names of power became currency. A magician or healer might add Christos alongside Adonai, Yahweh, Thoth. The name's power detached from theology, useful in rituals. Early Christians in Alexandria were tiny and obscure, but stories of their leaders' miracles could spread faster than the religion. The entire argument that this bowl refers to Jesus Christ really hinges on one word, Cresto. Christos was a common personal name meaning good, useful, worthy, often given to slaves or freedmen. So it might simply be a dedication, a bowl owned by a man named Christos who happened to be a chanter or magician. A grateful client, or the healer himself, might have inscribed through Christos the chanter as branding, a dedication, or a simple label of ownership. Furthermore, dia Christou can mean through Christ, but also for Christos or belonging to Christos, making the magical interpretation less likely. The word goistais can mean magician, but its root includes groaning or wailing, referring to ritual chanting or even professional mourning. The meaning is not as clear-cut as it first appears. An object is a silent witness. We interpret the clues, shaped by our knowledge, assumptions, hopes. The evidence is ambiguous, leaving the door open for debate. So we are left standing at a crossroads. On one side, a bust of Jesus, on the other, a generic Roman bust. On one path, the Alexandria bowl is the Jesus cup, the earliest physical proof of Christ's name found outside the Bible. It's a direct link to historical impact. His reputation as a powerful healer had reached Alexandria during his lifetime or just after. If this is true, it's a discovery of unparalleled importance. It would provide concrete archaeological corroboration for the biblical accounts and reshape our understanding of how quickly the Christian message spread. It would mean the stories were having a real-world impact from the very beginning. On the other path, the bowl is an intriguing but ultimately ambiguous artifact. The inscription might refer to a different man named Christos, a common name at the time. The bowl's purpose could have been entirely mundane, or it could have been a magical tool with no connection to Jesus of Nazareth. The similarity in names might be mere coincidence, amplified by our desire for physical proof. This interpretation is cautious. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. For many scholars, a single, ambiguous inscription on a small bowl is just not enough. There is no definitive piece of evidence to tip the scales decisively. Proponents point to timing, location, and the plausible connection to Jesus' reputation as a miracle worker. A convergence, they argue, is too strong to be coincidence. Skeptics emphasize the lack of certainty. History must be built on what can be proven, not on what merely feels right. Without corroboration, scholars default to the conservative explanation. In the end, why does this small clay bowl matter so much? Whether it is the Jesus cup or the bowl of a forgotten magician named Christos, its discovery forces us to confront the nature of belief and history. Religions are born in the messy, vibrant, complex world of human culture. They borrow, they adapt, and they spread through personal encounters, whispered stories, and objects people can hold in their hands. It suggests that before people debated doctrine, they sought healing from a figure they believed could provide it. Ultimately, this bowl is a catalyst for questions. It challenges us to think like archaeologists and historians, and to ponder where faith begins and history ends. For in the search for answers, we find a deeper understanding of our own human story.